So democracy is the sentence is the worst system, but it's still above all the others. Something like this. At least I know the meaning was this one. And we have seen the shift that was actually predicted and predictable to the right, sometimes in some cases to the extreme right, all over Europe, except in Romania. I don't know the exact context over there, what's going on over there, but the democracy is a system that has to be. The problem with democracy is that it's a system that has to be well taken care of, and it's actually a system of collective, that belongs to a collective, and the collective values, collectivist values, are in decay and have been in decay, mainly to liberal democracies. It's a kind of a paradox. It can be a kind of a paradox because it doesn't have to be conducted this way, the democracy we have. Because in these democracies that we are getting used to it, and which I was born into, we have destroyed the collective, and we have praised the individual. And bit by bit, you know, the leftist values were used at the same time, because the leftist values always praise the collective. People getting together. What does it mean? It means that the majority gets together to prevent the big guy to bully everyone individually. This is the main thing. It's like the union. Like the company has a lot of power, but the company, if it's facing its workers organized together, it has no power. It's the same in every community. If communities get together and they can solve their problems, if they have a problem with abuse of power from institutions, but if they get together, they can easily ban these institutions. But in the past decades, people lost that know-how of organizing in groups to get together, and actually to get together to solve the problems. And actually, this was traditional from the left. Unionizing is like maybe the best example. But throughout the decades we have seen union busting in force, working in force. We have seen the dividing, the fragmenting of society into very, very, very smaller and smaller groups. And I think one of the final steps, at least, if not the final step, was the usage of the internet to divide us even more. And so we have found the perfect soil to sow the seeds of division, and therefore, and of course with the deregulations and with the indoctrination of the media, constantly indoctrination of the media, sometimes very subtle, sometimes not declared, sometimes often not declared. you get this praising of the youth, praising of the individual, praising of obsession with self-image, aesthetics. Take care of yourself. Don't mind what everyone else says. Just believe in yourself. Go for yourself. Your belly button is the center of the world. This kind of values. And this kind of values, in my belief, has led us to accepting bit by bit, not all of the sudden, bit by bit, the rules imposed upon us. For example, in one of the components that rules our life the most, which is work and the workplace. We never got rid of the dictatorship in the workplace in the first place. But as long as we had the unions and we could struggle for a better share of the cake that was produced by the workers, that's how a lot of things were achieved. But then society got individualized, people are more selfish, stop caring, and then you have the perfect momentum to start deregulating more and more and more and more. This was done earlier in the US, earlier than Europe. But of course Europe has been following the US model more and more. And so the social democracies, which were supposed to counter the threat of communism, are now falling. And in my opinion, they are falling due to this liberalizing of the economy. Because the economy is liberalized, people lose their rights, sometimes without realizing it, because it goes through generations. If you see companies, for example, or governments implementing laws, they go very bit by bit, and sometimes they go this way. They release a particular law that will affect big group or an important group of workers, but this law will only affect the newcomers, the new workers, the ones that are already in place and have the rights from the past. They don't lose them. They will be eventually phased out when they retire. And see, I don't know if it's anyone or a small group conspiring against all us together. I'm not gonna go into any of that, and I don't really know. But it sure seems like because it has to, if one wants to achieve this goal by this way, it has to have a lot of patience. It cannot be a dictator, right? It cannot be a person with only a normal lifespan, or even if it's a long one, above the average, to do this, right? If you are patient enough to screw up the system while waiting for people to retire and to phase out with the age the old rules, the benefits and all that. And a lot of companies do this. And this prevents people from, it divides people in the first place. Because the newbies, the new guy in the job, I mean, he's not even in the job, so when he gets in the job, he's not going to see any of those benefits anyway. He's not going to know about them. And while the others have retained them, they're not going to speak about it because they have retained them. They will keep quiet to see if it doesn't get worse, and they will calmly watch while it all falls apart. If you don't agree with me, please write it in the comments. But all of this talk was about democracy, and of course then you have the degrading, because they always go one step further, and in the beginning they will dismantle of what they consider like luxury to the workers, something like this. They will convince people on TV and through all means that this is too much, this is ruining the country, economy doesn't go forward if they don't take these measures. They blame the worker for that, while they concentrate, and I mean they, the they here means the people in economic power, not only politics, because politics tend to be just an instrument of these first ones, right? I don't want to use they too much and then not knowing who I'm referring to. I know well who I'm referring to. If in the case of my country, I could spew a few names. It wouldn't add anything to this, to the point. You all know who your billionaires and oligarchs are. So they use this. They divide bit by bit the workers. They create new categories, new branches, new identities. This is also a good scheme to divide people. And they divide people in the workplace, they divide people in society at large. I mean, religion. Sorry. And then they degrade the conditions, and then finally the right wing comes along. This is final step of every capitalist cycle. The right wing comes along because things are degraded, but they have been degrading them for so long that you don't have a cohesion in a group. For example, people as a whole, the people of the country X, Y, as manifested against something. It doesn't happen anymore. It's very tiny, small groups, normally quarreling against each other. And then they don't get together. They have no strength to fight this. They don't know how. They don't know even what affects them. And there is general discontent. People are unhappy. General unhappiness. People don't know why. And then the same people, the guys with the money, the bankers, and whoever, the economic top, they come along and they finance these extreme right ideas. Perfect for them. Perfect. And as they are well financed, they can gather a lot of people. People sell out very easily. And the ones that don't sell out, they don't know any better, so they just believe the whole thing. The message is very strong in quantity, not in quality. But as people during a rather long period of time are unhappy and they don't know why, they don't know how to change it, they will adhere to this with lack of better alternative in their view. In my opinion, this is how it works. So yeah, we had this, we have a democracy, but we can easily throw this around. And we've been seeing examples, especially in foreign policy, of this democracy just going down the drain. We supply the worst genocidal governments with weapons. Germany, which is like supposedly the leader. European Union wasn't supposed to have any leaders, but it has. So Germany supplying weapons to Israel and mingling in all the wars and going after following the US in their goals. You have the immigrant crisis, which is really pitting people against each other. pitting workers against each other. They degrade the condition of our workers. They benefit in importing immigrants. And then they pit the people against each other. And they get away with it. And people are... I was about to say they are so dumb. Yeah, I don't know. No, they're probably not. People are alienated. They are very busy with their lives. They are angry. They want to make ends meet. This is also a very good soil, not just to sow this right-wing idea, but to sow all of other things. Corruption is one of them. I mean, if you don't see any... You feel isolated in society, right? You have pay shit. You have like this paying job which pays you shit. You don't see any prospects of anything. I mean, if you have opportunities to get in schemes and not so honest things, you have incentive to do it. I'm not saying everyone does it, but you have the incentive to fool others, to get advantage over others is there. That's also another factor for dividing society. Along with the indoctrination that you have to be the best and da-da-da-da-da. Okay, I think it's enough of this rambling. Hope you liked it. And I really hope, we never know, that I see you on the next one. Let me know what you think in the comments of these ideas. Let's see where this shit goes.